Let's get into it. I need to get comfy though. Comfy. I hope you guys enjoyed reading chapter 2. I know it was nice for me to go over it. There wasn't a lot in chapter 2 that shared too much, but I kind of just want to grace over, I did some highlighting for you folks, so we're just going to go through page by page. I'm just going to read and kind of monologue a little bit over the sections that I liked and what I was thinking about them. I just realized, wait, is this chapter, or maybe we just did chapter 1. I thought we were on chapter 2 for some reason. Oh, we're just on chapter 1. I was saying chapter 2. Ha ha ha. I think we just talked about the book last time, and we listened to 00 podcast. So, JK, haha. We're doing chapter 1. We're going to go over the first chapter. I'm glad I didn't put that in the thing. All right. Chapter 1. I think this is page 1. Technically page 5. This month, and they do it by months, like this is supposed to be started in January, but you can start any month at any time, so don't feel the need to wait to January to start doing these practices. Just pick a month, pick a time, and get started. So for this one, it says this month we're talking about Warren Buffett, value investing, which is something we went through in the last week's notes, rule number 1, investing, inflation, and the investing practices. So those are like the main things. If you want to just jot those down, if you want to just jot those down, and you can look at those specific things, those 4 pinpoints. If you want to check them out all on your own, you can, but we're going to kind of go over them in the book. I'm going to read my highlights. So page 6, things I highlighted here were, in this section, I'm going to start at the top of this where I highlighted. This is not what I highlighted, but hold on. However, as I observed the lifestyle of the people ahead of me in their careers, I slowly dawned on me that the only reward awaiting me was, here's the highlighted part, working more hours, internalizing more stress, and continuing to be salary dependent, and with no end in sight. I thought I had invested in myself, but really I had invested in a lifelong treadmill. And if this is where you're at, if this is where you feel, if you feel like I'm in a dead-end job, there's no change for me, I'm never going to be able to make more money, I'd have to put so much money into debt to be able to, no, that's not what we're going to do. We're going to do something different. We're going to work with what we have. The next highlighted part, I wanted to feel passionate about my life, and who doesn't? If that's where you're at right now, this is a great time to start. If you want to feel passion, you're not feeling like you're feeling the passion, I think this is a great moment to get started, to help you feel some passion. The ability to do what you want feels like more than just happiness. It feels like joy. It feels like pure freedom. That is what we're aiming for. That is where we're going. And I think the big thing is, especially with women, investing doesn't feel like it's going to be pure joy. Investing doesn't give you that, I'm excited, I'm going to be financially free. So for women, it's daunting, it's scary, there's stress and emotions around it. So I think that's something that we need as females, with plenty of overly, and it's not just females, men can also be more emotional, have a higher emotional response than with just there. Without it, most men don't really have that problem. Luckies. Next quote is, I don't feel stressed, I feel normal, I promised her, and I meant it. I didn't get that my normal was skewed, and I think that's a big thing. We need to really pay attention, especially as women. In society, we get used to our normal being something that's not positive. Like, for example, my normal situation for how I thought I was supposed to be treated was being extremely petty. I thought that if you wanted to be in society, the normal was to treat people the way they treated you. That's what I was taught. That's how I was raised. And that's not normal. It's not normal to be really nice to people and then the one time that they're really mean to you to dish it back to them. That's not a normal reaction. That's not how it should be. Your normal reaction should be talking to them, interacting with them, communicating with them, sharing your emotions. But that wasn't. My normal reaction was to swallow how I felt, accept what they dished out, and then do it to them and expect the same. And that's not normal. And so it's the same thing with investing. What is normal? Figure out what's your normal. Is that normal? Do a little research. I know it can be daunting, but it's going to give you a lot of emotional security. I should have seen that my body's reaction was a warning from the universe that I had slipped away from doing what I was meant to do in my life. What ancient Indian texts call living in Dharma. And I think that's a big thing. If you're having health issues that you can't get cleared up, if you're having continuous chronic problems, I think a big thing you have to recognize is that maybe how you're functioning in life, the way you're thinking, the way that you're living life is not congruent with the way that you need to live. And I think in a capitalist society, especially right now, that's extremely easy to do. So you have to adjust. I had been down so long, it looked like up. So just remember that. Your work-life balance, your life, if it's not positive for you, your body, your mind will be affected. We are all exhausted and think it's normal to feel that way because it's so common. Ooh, we're going to take some notes here. Don't forget, we're taking notes. You can write any of this down. I highlighted it. I'm remembering it. I don't really need to, but go ahead and write anything down. But we're going to move on to this. We are all exhausted and thinking it's normal to feel the way because it's common. Learning into our work is considered the virtue, even though Shirley Sandberg herself recently said she had not really understood how hard it is to be successful at work when you are overwhelmed at home. So I think we've written down Shirley Sandberg on the other side, but I just want to double check. We have not, so we're going to write her down. Sherryl Sandberg, Sandberg. We're going to do a real quick little searchy search just so we can learn real quick about her and why she's important here. Okay. Let's read about Shirley. Is an American technology executive, philanthropist, and writer. Excuse me. She was the chief operating officer at Meta Platforms from 2008 to 2022, and is the founder of Leanin.org. Sandberg is the first woman to have been elected to Facebook's board of directors as head of the company's advertising business. Sandberg has been credited for making the company profitable. Ooh, prior to joining Facebook as its COO, Sandberg was vice president of global online sales and operations at Google and was involved in philanthropic arm Google.org. Sandberg graduated from Harvard University, later serving as a research assistant to Lawrence Summers at the Wood Bank and subsequently his chief of staff when he became Bill Clinton's United States Secretary of Treasury. So, it seems to be an extremely successful woman. Okay, so she has a book. It's called Lean In. The Lean In. So that's her book. I'm going to write that down and mark it to read it, look into it. Don't forget, last week, a book that we're going to look in was Gretchen Rubin, The Happiness Project. So, let's lean in, and I'm just going to circle it, and I'm going to say book, so I can remember that I want to read it, and then I need to look into it. It also looks like she has another book here. It says option B, facing, let's see, is it adversity? Is that what this is? I'm going to click on it. Option B, facing adversity, building resilience, and finding joy. Option B, facing Facing Adversity, Building Resilience, and Finding Joy is a book by Shirley Sandberg and Adam Grant. That combines personal stories, research, and practical advice on overcoming hardship with a focus on building resilience. Okay, so she does not quote this book. She's quoting Lean In. But I do think this could be an optional good book. So I'm just going to say option B, Facing Adversity, Building Resilience, and Finding Joy. And I'm just going to say book and question mark. Just because she doesn't mark it as, she's not quoting in here, she's quoting this other book, Lean In. What is it? Women, Work, and the Will to Lead. Okay. Lean In, Women, Work, and the Will to Lead is a 2013 book by Shirley Sandberg, CEO of Facebook at the time, and the Neil Scoville that encourages women to pursue their ambitions and overcome internal and external barriers to leadership. That's a really good book. If you're having problems with feeling like a leader, or your ambitions or work, and moving into like investing, I think this could be a really good book. And I'm just gonna write the whole Will to Lead, the whole thing down. I think that's gonna be a really good book. I'm definitely gonna look into that one for sure. And she's extremely successful, so it seems like it's going to be a positive add-in. The next one. Still, I had been certain I could push through. It wasn't all bad. Don't we all feel that way? However, when my family started to suffer too, that became more than I could bear. And I think that's a big thing. I marked that because I think women have this tendency to not do things. I don't think just women. I'm just talking from a woman's perspective, so this could apply to men. But from a woman's perspective, I think women often are used to being the mothers, the caretakers, the emotional protectors, the make it fun, make it happy, make things energetic, bring, like, and when you're in that format, when you're in that thought process, when you're in that mothering state, it can be very difficult if you were not raised in an extremely healthy household to remember to put yourself first, right? When you're on an airplane, they say put your mask on first, and then that. And that's how mothering should work. You should make sure your stuff is first. But I think here in the U.S. especially, one of the big things, and maybe other countries I just don't know, is that you put everyone else first. You make sure your kids are okay, make sure your husband has food, make sure the dog is taken care of, the cats are taken care of, the house is clean. And then you're like, oh, well, it's 2 o'clock, I'm still in my PJs, I haven't brushed my teeth, I haven't had food, I didn't take my vitamins. So, and I used to do that. That was how I functioned in my household with my exes. Like, I would wake up, and the first thing I did was take care of them. And it wasn't until I got into owning my own business that I realized that, like, I couldn't function that way, and I started taking care of myself. And that is when my relationships started failing, because they weren't expecting me to take care of myself first. They were expecting to be taken care of first. And when I started dropping what I couldn't handle with them and taking care of me first, that negatively affected our relationships, because they weren't used to that. And so it's not just that it's difficult to take care of yourself. It's that as a woman, that it's going to negatively affect your relationships, because people aren't ready for it. People aren't ready for you to give up taking care of them so that you can take care of yourself. And I think financially, we've seen a change in that, where women are, we see they're going to school before getting married, getting good careers before they're having children. And that's increasing. This is a part of that. You cannot... In a man's world, you cannot keep a career and have a family. It is extremely difficult. I don't think you're supposed to either. I don't think it's meant that you're supposed to be a mother and a father all in one. And so I think being able to invest in a way that makes you feel emotionally stable and give you the life that you need so you can maintain an income and be the mother, taking care of yourself and caring for others, I think that's something we should do. I think that's something we should fight for. Okay, page 10. The next one I marked is financial freedom means something different to each of us. And I think each of us need to stop looking at the world and being like, I want that financial freedom. You need to sit down and you need to actually make your numbers and say, what is it that I want? What is it I need? And what are the financial numbers around that? And men can much more easily do that without their emotions involved. And so women, ladies, we need to get it together. I don't think ignoring or cutting out our emotions, but working with them. All the new age advice to live in the moment and not worry about the future was great for present Danielle. To abandon it all and tour the wineries of Tuscany, but not so great for future Danielle. To have food or shelter, or, I don't know, savings, or when are you going to retire? What happens when you don't have beauty anymore and you can't use the internet to create monetary value? You know, these are things you have to think about. Present and future Daniela needed to have a symbolic relationship, and I think that's it's not just about living in the moment. It's about forward thinking. It's about living in the moment, doing the things in the moment, knowing that the things you're doing in the moment now are helping you in the future. Maybe there was an easy fix, and don't we all want that? Don't we all want the fast, easy fix? It's so hard to get your brain out of that. It's so difficult, but you have to just suck it up and remember that the minimum of college you have to take is 4 years. 2-year colleges is a thing, but truthfully, most people do 4 years to actually get a good degree that actually increases their salary quite a bit. So just remember that there's no easy fix. What on earth was I going to do? That's the next question. When you realize you have all these problems, I think a lot of the reason we don't want to think about it is because a lot of us perceive emotionally that there's nothing more. That if we're going to do it, it's going to be so difficult. A lot of women already have kids. They're like, how am I supposed to have a career now? Right? How am I supposed to go to school? Especially if you're a single mother. So, I think, what on earth are you going to do is such a real situation because it's getting past that. We have to walk past that question. What can I do to get some financial freedom so I can leave this job if I need to? Because Daniela actually loves her job. She doesn't really want to leave. She's just having a lot of physical damage happening to her. And so she's having to figure out how to be able to take that time without losing the money. And then we did talk about, I think, Benjamin Graham. Did we talk about Benjamin Graham? No, we talked about Warren Buffett. Okay. So the renowned investors that she brings up on 12 are Warren Buffett and Benjamin Graham, which are value investing, which we knew about Warren Buffett. Let's write down Benjamin Graham. We'll take a quick glance at him. Okay. Benjamin, Graham, Graham. And we know he's a value investor. And go look up value investors. Maybe you'll find someone that you like. Okay. A quick overview of Benjamin Graham. Benjamin Graham was born in May 9, 1894 to September 21st, 1976. So not been around for some time. Was an English-American financial and analyst, economist, accountant, investor, and professor. He's widely known for his father of the value. Oh, he's the father of it. He created it. Okay. And wrote 2 of the discipline's founding texts, Security Analysts with David Dodd and The Intelligent Investor. I've read The Intelligent Investor. Let's write these books down. I think these are good books. Okay. So, a book I think you should look into for sure, The Intelligent investor. And this is a new one for me. Security analysis. All right, so these are 2 books we should look into and read. I'm also just gonna write father of value investing, so I can kind of remember that, because I think I might have read that somewhere. I know his name sounds familiar, but that's how it goes. Okay. So, next. And then, of course, and it even brings up here David Dodd in their book, Security Analysis. So, yes, those are books. She quoted both the books. Those are ones that we're going to look into. I'm also just going to write, so we can look him up, just to see a little bit about him, is David Dodd, which is D-A-V-I-D, Dodd, D-O-D-D. Let's look him up. Okay. David Dodd, born August 23rd, 1895, died September 18, 1988, was an American educator, financial analysis, author, economist, and investor. In his student years, Dodd was a prodigy and colleague of Benjamin Graham at Columbus Business School. Okay, yeah. So they're both past, but those books are going to be real good. They're clearly like the fathers are the the beginning of value investing, Benjamin and David. And then we know Warren Buffett and I can never remember his name. Charlie Munger. Yeah, both of them are. One of them has passed, one of them is still around, and they've kind of influenced and grown the next generation of people, one of them being Townfield that we are following. Okay, so now we're going to read a note from Phil. The basic ideas of investing are to look at stocks as businesses, use the market fluctuation to your advantage, and seek a margin of safety. And that was from Warren Buffett. He said that. If you want to get rich and stay that way, study Warren Buffett. And I don't think he's wrong. He also talks about the Berkshire in this section and Charlie Munger, of course. But they are a bit farther off from where we are, right? That's the 80s, when were around when they were getting started. So it's a much different life now. And I think some of the people we should be listening to at this point are definitely like Phil Town, his daughter. I haven't seen a lot of other people, but somebody new on YouTube that I'm really enjoying that my partner actually showed me was New Money. His name is Brandon, and he seems to be like our age, our group, born in the 90s, is in his 20s, 30s. So I think if you're looking for someone closer to the understanding of this world and what's happening right now and how to function in it, definitely that. But if you're looking for some basic knowledge, some building blocks, some ideas, morals, values, and kind of like the math and understanding of where everything came from, which I think is important, especially for your emotions, Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett is definitely where to start. I think Benjamin Graham and David Dodd might be a little bit too far back for us. Okay, so page 13. This is the rule number 1, Phil Town. He's created this from them. Rule number 1 is don't lose money. Rule number 2, don't forget rule number 1. Seems obvious, I know, like buy low, sell high, but simple isn't the same as easy. Never is. Buy a wonderful company, and by wonderful companies, they're ones you love, and not just love, but understand, have some understanding around them, looked into them, and know that they are not just something you love, but are a sturdy company that can pay off their debt within 2 years. Typically have no debt would be great. And buying them in at a cheap price. It even says that right here. And when it is a bargain, and only when you are certain that it will be worth more 10 years from now than it is today. And I know you're sitting here emotionally being like, how am I supposed to be that? How am I supposed to know that it's going to be worth more in the future? And I think that's like a big... Remember when Apple first came out? How many people do you think then were going to guess how big it was going to be? We don't know that. That's not something we can guess.
Tony, here's your reminder.
Alexis, stop.
Take probiotics.
Alexis, stop.
Tony, here's
Alexis, stop.
Take probiotics.
That thing is so fucking annoying. Anyways. So knowing something's going to cost more, there's science, there's math, there's many, many things that we can look at. On top of that, typically we're not going to be buying into brand new companies. Like just startup companies are not safe. These companies will have been around for a while. They'll have proof that they're growing. They'll have proof that they can work through failures, that they can work through things like the 2008 collapse. So I think don't try and like worry about it and be like, how am I supposed to, that we're going to teach, we're going to learn. Be so confident that you now own a great company that even if the stock price goes down, you don't worry and you stay with it until it gets back up. And ideally, you never sell. That's how you don't lose money. The rule number 1 investing. Don't forget that when you sell a stock, you have to pay taxes. You have to pay taxes. You have to. The only way you don't is if it's in your 401k, but then eventually you got to take that money out. So you will. Oh, another book to read that we will read here, I've wrote it down, is Payback Time. If you'd like to write it down, you can, but we will be reading it. Page 15. Ooh, here's another person to write down. It's Haruki Murakami. Once wrote, "There's only one kind of happiness, but misfortune comes in all shapes and sizes." It's another person to write down. Stop it. I wish I was at my desk right now. HARUKIMURAKAMI. And we're just going to look to see where this quote came from, possibly. I hate being here right now. Frustrating. Are you fucking kidding me? I am struggling so hard. My partner wants me to be done and it's not happening. It's not happening because you took my fucking desk area. That's what happens. I'm sorry. That sucks to suck. Okay, let's find out who this person is. Oh, they wrote a lot of books. Okay. Haruki Murakami. Born January 12, 1949, is a Japanese writer. His novels, essays, and short stories have been bestsellers in Japan and internationally, with his works translated to 50 languages and have sold millions of copies outside of Japan. He has received numerous awards for his work, including the Gonzo Prize for New Writers, the World... Wow, like honestly a lot. There's so many. Damn. Okay, so what are his books about? It doesn't really say. He's still alive too right now, and he's 77, and he lives in Japan. Oh my gosh. Today is a day where the world is testing me. The whole universe is testing my anger management right now. Okay, so they have Norwegian Woods, 1Q84, The City and the Uncertain Walls, Kafka on the Shore, The Wind Up Bird Chronicle, Men Without Women. Okay, is that all of them? No. What I talk about when I talk about... Okay. What I talk about when I talk about running, the wild sheep chase, hard-boiled wonderland, and the end of the world after dark, colors to Sukura, I don't know, killing Commodore. There's so many. No, I can't even go through all of these. Okay. Let's go back. We're going to look at the best books. None of the... I think I might have seen the 1Q84. Sprawling novel by... set in a parallel alternative version of 1984 Tokyo where two moons hang in the sky and reality is subtly but significantly different from our own. Okay. A nostalgic and bittersweet coming of age story. Oh, so they're just novels. Yeah, they're just stories about stuff. Anyways, if you're interested in reading any of his books, I don't see a reason why I'd read any of them. They don't seem to be anything about what I'm trying to learn. So, but maybe you'll find something interesting in them. Oh, does it mark which one? Kafka on the Shore, 2005. That's the one she took this quote from. There's only one kind of happiness, but misfortune comes in all shapes and sizes. I think you could get that from another book without it being from a fantasy. Page 17. Financial stuff seemed overwhelming and complicated. Yeah, that's a big part, especially for women, I think. I think anyone feels that way, but I think emotionally for women, or just maybe more emotional people in general, it's even more. It's not just not knowing. It's the feeling of never being able to understand it. Anything to do with investing was colored by my memories of my financial anxiety during divorce years, which her parents had gone through the idea that they were going to get divorced and that it didn't end up happening. But for me, a lot of the stress for money comes around when I first got my real job. I had a few paid under the table jobs before I got my first job. I started working at 14. And all that money went to candy, food, just random stuff. But when I got my first job at 16, that was on the books, the first few months I spent all my money on food and stuff like that. And then, I talked to my coworker and I was like, how are you saving money? I know you make more than me, but I'm struggling. And she's like, oh, you need to make sure you're not, limit yourself. And that's when I started really budgeting, and I ate bananas and yogurt and a $1 candy bar or a 67-cent candy bar when they were on sale for lunch every single weekend. I worked weekends and I worked summer, and I worked 40 hours a summer, and I remember saving so much money. I honestly don't know how much I saved up. I forgot, because what happened is my mom went to jail. My parents were, I don't know how, but they were spending over how much they were making. Again, we had 5 little girls. We were going to sports. I don't think my sisters were in sports yet. They're still too young. So I'm not really sure how we were overspending. I know it was right after 2008, and that the man in our life, my stepdad, had a year laid off from work, and that the job my mother had at the time was not paying us enough to cover bills. And so I know that she was taking out loans and things like that, but I guess in my mind I figured that they had been talking about that and figuring it out. And so a year or two after that, 2 years after that, she was writing bad checks for bills. And they put a warrant out for her and she went to jail. And when that happened, we were scrambling to put money together to get her out and to pay for things for her to go through court. And I gave them a substantial amount of my savings to be able to do that. And then when she was out, I remember there was many times where I would put $100 bills in her wallet when we go to the grocery store so that she could buy groceries. And that year was the year that I picked up paying for my sister's school supplies, back to school clothes. And that was the year that I started smoking weed and drinking. And so that's my stress from that time, from that time period. That's the stress that I have, is I'm worried that it doesn't matter how much money I save up or how much money I make, that there will be something that will come along and will just wipe me out. And it'll just take it all. And so I want to spend it on me and the things I actually want over having to have it just be taken. So these are things you got to think about, and decide, where's my stressor coming from? Where's my worry coming from? Is it logical? Can I change it? Can I adjust? Am I that person, or am I someone different? These are things, especially as an emotional person, or an extremely emotional woman, and all women are emotional, so don't come at me. I mean, you just saw me, I dropped my pen, I got pissed off, so just saying. Alright, page 18. To a man with a hammer, everything looks like a nail. To my dad, investing on your own was the solution to everything. Honestly, it is. He says, quote, I don't want to do my own investing. She says that. Quote, I don't want to do my own investing, Dad. He says, quote, it's too hard. Oh my God. I'm just going to read the thing because I'm trying to just read it, whatever. Okay. I came back to that January morning on our phone call. I don't want to do my own investing, Dad, I said to him. It's too hard, and I don't have the time, and it's way too hard. He started chuckling, so I kept going. I'm busy. I mean, literally, geniuses screw up investing in the stock market. It's too hard, and I don't have the time to learn it. I completely agree that not losing money is key, but it's the stock market the best way to do that? I don't trust the market. There must be a safe way. Who trusts the market? It's always crazy. Surely there had to be another way that would get me to financial freedom. What could I do to stop being a wage slave? See, that question keeps coming up, but she already knows the answer, and we do that. We'll go over it. We're like, is that the right answer? Is that the right answer? It's like time to take action. The financial industry complex texts me. The financial industrial complex tells me that there are only two options to generate more money. Hoard, stop buying anything fun or extra to save, and make only the most conservative investments, or abdicate, give my money to a money manager to whom I should pay fees for the privilege of handing over my money, regardless of whether or not he loses my money, which actually happened to me because I had a 401k open, and it was after we went to the rule investing seminar weekend before, that I was like, I should really go check. I've been thinking about them for years and I just never check up on them, and I go, and it's negative $11. I had money sitting in there since 2019 and it's negative $11. So, just saying, don't give your money to people because they don't give a shit if you make money or not. Hoarding sounded safe, and safe sounded fantastic. Where were the hoarding success stories of octogenarians throwing dollar bills in the air? T-bills, which sounded like fun but are not a T-bill or a treasury bond, is a bond issued by the U.S. Treasury Department and is guaranteed to the federal government. Risk-free investment, at least as risk-free as any investment could possibly be. 10-year T-bills interest rate is called the risk-free rate. The problem is it's not very high, guys. It barely keeps up with inflation. Now we're going to learn about inflation. Inflation means that the purchasing power of your money goes down because, to simplify it, the government wants people to have jobs, so they encourage borrowing. And with more money floating around, consumers buy more stuff. And over time, the increased demand makes prices rise. Additionally, because companies try to meet the increased demand, they raise wages or create new jobs so that the economy grows. That also leads to higher consumption, which leads to more demand, higher wages, more jobs, and more consumption. It's called the virtuous cycle of inflation. And the thing is like, as much as I want to tell people, like, stop being consumers. Like, I'm not someone who enjoys being a consumer, but the thing is that's where we're at. That's our life. That's our world. We are living in a consumption capitalistic world, and that is where we're at. And it's one of those things, like right now, if you think about it, how many people are vegan? Not a fucking ton of us. But the truth is if we were all vegan, we would probably have less worry about the planet right now. People don't like thinking about that because people don't like thinking about the fact that to raise and grow cattle for meat costs a shit ton of water. It costs a shit ton of food. Where do we grow that food? That takes a fucking shit ton of land. That takes even more water. If you didn't have to feed all those cattle that we would eventually kill to feed us, we could just use the land that we're using, probably, I think, like a third to half of it, to grow the food that we would actually eat. But people like meat. And so it's the same thing. People like consumption. And though our world would be better if people consumed less, that's not the way we're moving. That's not what's going to happen. So what we have to do is adjust the way we consume. Try and make it healthier for the planet. Not do as many plastics. Make sure a lot of this stuff is biodegradable. This is the same thing, but in finances. We're in a capitalistic world. People want to make money. That's not going to stop, because not only do people want to make money, people need to make money to survive and live. So it's just never going to end. It won't. Not until the people in charge want it to change. And trust me, they don't. Page 23. Make 3% or better just to keep my money from becoming worthless each year. I actually have a bank here in Washington where my savings account holds a 6% and my savings account does 3%. So as long as my money stays in there each month, it will not lose to this. But a lot of people don't have that, so I would think that that's a basic start. That's a basic fucking start. And that's, honestly, even in that, you're still going to be losing out on money technically. Inflation has a historical average of 3% per year, so you do have to get an average about 3% return per year just to offset inflation. And really, even on top of that, like, because inflation makes everything more expensive, like, even though your money's being saved, like, you got to create more to spend more. Nobody is saying once you've saved some money to keep it sitting in a savings account. Saving is not enough. It's just the start. Stretching into yoga pose and becoming my own way to stretching in. I'm actually going to read the first part of this because I like this part. She's like talking about how she was frustrated and getting into yoga was a thing. But here, I need to move. We walked for a few blocks back to my condo, and Dad thought nothing of it when I rolled it onto the rug and got into a downward-facing dog yoga pose. My parents had raised me with transcendental meditation and yoga as a regular part of my life since I was little. So stretching into yoga pose had become my own way to keep the frustration from settling in. This is something I am just learning and trying to figure out for myself. I used to run when I was young, and I think that's what I subconsciously did to get out of being stuck in frustration. And as I grew up, I got out of that. As I became an adult, I stopped doing that. I got back into yoga, back into running, and that helped for some time. And then I got back out of it, and I got into alternative forms of working out, like pole workout and Pilates and dance, different forms of dance. So really, you need something. As we're going through this, especially the extremely emotional person, you need something that's going to help you regulate. One thing that I've been learning about is somatic breathing. So maybe some somatic breathing will be real good for you. It just depends on whatever makes you happy, whatever calms you down. But you will need it. We didn't get it. Investing did not make me happy. It made me terrified. Same. If I did decide to be brave and take the plunge into investing all by myself, I was certain that I would lose all the money I put in the market. My dad calls this the emotional rule of investing. You ready? As soon as you buy a stock, expect it to go up. It will go down, entirely because you bought the stock. So once you buy a stock, ignore it for a while because it's going to fluctuate. And you remember, we're keeping it for 10 years. Then the stock goes like this. But it has increased. If you look at the stock market since it's been at its time, from entirety, it's been going up. Up. And you'll see, of course, like, you know, where we've had 2008 and the depression and recessions and stuff. But overall, we'll go up. Buying stock seems pretty much the same as line choosing, only with much higher consequences. But here's the difference. You have to pick a line. You don't have to pick a stock. There are two types of people in the world. Those who look at the enclosed concrete stairwell and think nothing, and those who look at the enclosed concrete stairwell and think there's a good possibility that this won't end well for me. And if you're in that second category, those are the people we're trying to help through this right now. People like me, people like you who's clearly watching this. The first type is more often than not men. The second type is generally women. Ladies, we understand the closed stairwell feeling. Women investors tend to have a low risk tolerance than men. 4% of women who invested with Fidelity are willing to invest a substantial amount to achieve potential higher returns compared to 15% of men. At the same time, 90% of all women will be the sole financial decision maker for their household at some point in their lives. But you don't seem to react when I react. I feel like my world is closing in. I have no confidence that I can invest. You seem to have all the confidence in the world. This is what she's saying to her dad. Then her dad says, I didn't start that way. I had to learn. But being broke can make you brave. The confidence I have now comes from being certain about a company's real value and then refusing to buy it unless I can buy it at a really low price because things happen that nobody could foresee. For example, did people kind of foresee that maybe we would start a war? Some did. And in that thought, do you think that they also were perceiving that it would be worth to get into the stock market at the same time? Probably not. Because people don't understand that when war comes along, when things negatively affect, it's not the best time to jump in, but it is the best time to start paying attention because prices drop. For example, if you've been waiting to buy Netflix because it's like really, really up there, this is probably a point where you should be paying attention to the price because the price is probably going to drop. The prices are probably going to drop with this war. The thing is Netflix is a great company that's been around, and Netflix is a cheap, fun thing. And so most people, as they lose their money, are going to put money into Netflix. Which is going to keep the business running, which means eventually that price is going to go back up, which means if you can buy at the lower price, you can catch the ride back up as it goes back up, and then you can buy it at the price that's a good price and get a better return in 10 years than you would have if you had bought it at the high price before the war. Just saying. Do I love war? No. Do I want it to happen? Absolutely not. Do I like what's happening because of it? Hell no. But if it is going to happen, because I have no control over it, I may as well put my money where my mouth is and fucking create something so that I can help people out and myself out in the future. Rationalize that shit. Where are we? You should be... that's a great quality to have an investor. You should be you shouldn't be gambling with your financial futures. And so a big thing is you should be risk aversion. You risk averted. You should not. She's a risk adverse lawyer, and so that's what he's saying is that that's something we want. So women, if you are risk avoidant, guess what? That's a great skill to be an investor. Great skill. Studies done by International Monetary Fund economists and others suggest that as long as inflation stays relatively low and steady, the virtuous cycle of consumption, wages, and jobs creates more jobs or increases wages. However, if inflation goes up higher than the good level, then our money becomes too quickly devalued and is worth so little the wages and the jobs can't keep up. So we really don't want to see inflation gain more than 3 or 4%. Stock markets, however, typically rise when inflation becomes stock markets, however, typically rise with inflation because company revenue and earnings typically rise commensuratorily. I don't know that word. In sum, inflation hurts savings but helps stock. So, when inflation goes up, you want to be in the stock market, or you want to put your savings in the stock market. All right, the last part. This is January. January practice. This next month. I would love for you guys to focus on this. Okay. The investing process started for me when I realized I wasn't living my life how I wanted because I was so worried about money. Brainstorm and write down what you would do if you had financial freedom, whatever that means to you. Would you stay in your job, work less, volunteer, find a different job, pay off student loans or medical bills, support a family member, travel, donate to charity, or sleep more soundly? Be brave enough to write down how doing that would make you feel. So, your goal when we come back next week, next Wednesday, is to have those 2 questions figured out. Okay? And to have read chapter 2. And we'll go over those notes in chapter 2 and kind of comment as we go along. So, here we go. Oh, that's not what I want. Close that out.
I'm here with my daughter Danielle Town, who is an attorney in Boulder, Colorado, who works in a specialty of law called emerging corporation law, which is kind of about starting up companies and
I also in the book it says she's a risk adverse attorney, so I think it's possible that she might have changed before after writing this book. So any discrepancies or changes, I'll just make a little comment here for you guys. Turn it up. I can do that. He hasn't really said much yet, so
figuring out how to spread investment and ownership of companies. And as a result, she's gotten more and more interested in investing as time goes along and in what Rule 1's doing. So
how's
we
that?
thought we'd kind of bring her into the conversation here. So, hi. What would you like to talk about today?
I would like to talk about enlightened investing.
Enlightened
which I think is
investing.
what Rule 1 investing really is talking about.
Oh, that's
And maybe we
interesting that
can,
she says
delve more deeply into that as we go along.
Her feeling like Rule 1 is enlightened investing because Phil Town specifically, I feel like she's never read her father's books. He specifically says that it's value investing, not enlightened investing. So I'm just going to write that down real quick. I'm going to write podcast because I just want to see if there's a difference. I'm going to do some research after this. Enlightened investing. Awesome possum. You're awesome. I'm so glad to see you.
But
Thank you for coming
today,
in.
I'd like to start the first in a series of 4 podcasts
Ooh,
about the
first of
principles
4.
for choosing a company to
Ooh,
invest in.
principles. These
Alright,
are good.
cool.
We should write these down.
So
Principles.
first of all, we have this video from it's on YouTube, this video from Charlie Munger that I'm going to play for you guys, which is about a minute long, and he goes really quickly through these 4 principles of picking a company to invest in.
See, and
Yeah, by
he's
the
a
way,
value
get ready to listen
investing.
real
I've
carefully,
never
'cause
heard
this is,
enlightened investing before.
This is real fast, and it's really compact.
Yeah, and maybe before I start it, who's Charlie Munger?
Oh, yeah, we've kind of
Charlie
already gone
Munger
over
is
that, but
the executive chairman or vice chairman of Berkshire Hathaway.
Mm-hmm.
He's about 90 years old.
I think
he
he's
really?
dead.
Yeah.
He's dead
He's
now.
just brilliant. This discussion
Warren Buffett's
that
still
he
alive,
has,
though.
he's having with BBC in 2012. Charlie runs his own fund and has compounded
Let me
money
just
at over
double check
20% a year for about 50, 60 years,
He runs his own fund separate from Berkshire.
separate from Berkshire.
Okay.
And I've heard people who know both
Yes, he died in
he
2023.
and Warren Buffett actually think maybe Charlie's the smarter of the two, if that's
That's
even
so
possible to imagine.
mean.
And Warren credits Charlie with basically
You know what though? Like that's how it works in investing. Some people just see the numbers, you know? They can like do it all in their head. I'm not the smartest person when it comes to like numbers and stuff. I don't really fully understand it, so I get it. But they are both very impressive.
teaching him the investment strategies that he uses at Berkshire and has been using since the 1960s, which came when Munger said, look, it's really better, Warren, to be buying a really wonderful company at a fair price than to buy a really fair company at a wonderful price.
And that's a really big thing. Really wonderful companies at a fair price. We have to remember that. And I know you guys really want to know how to do that, but this is like our morals and values right now. We need to stick it in. Wonderful companies, fair price. Wonderful companies, fair price. This is like when your parents would have to teach you, like, pick up your fork, use your fork, pick up. You're like, but it's so much easier if I just use my hand. We're babies right now. We're baby investors right now. We are baby investors. So, wonderful companies, fair price. Wonderful companies, fair price.
It's just long term, you're going to be better off. And they've applied that. You know, obviously they tried. What Charlie means by a fair price is, you know, remains to be seen. But they've applied that philosophy for a long time. And
I love that he says that because I don't think he actually shares the way he financially figures it out, his numbers, his statistics. I do think, from what I know, Phil Town is the one who has been the only person who has shared statistically, numerologically, mathematically, how to figure out a fair business price.
that's really just basic to Buffett investing. So he and Charlie are really good friends. They host the Berkshire conference every year together in Omaha. And
Actually, this is so sad, but so since Charlie Munger died, Warren Buffett actually this year is stepping down, and this next Berkshire one is going to be led by the person that he has had under his wing the last 2 years and been training to take over. And we've already started to see some investing things done by him, because the guy has been doing, like, the things they're investing in is a lot less money, and people are like, that doesn't, not me, but other people have said, that doesn't look like Warren. Warren normally does much more bigger than what has gone through recently, so we'll see what they have to say, how they're feeling about it in the future.
they bounce investing ideas off of each other.
Mm-hmm.
So with that introduction,
All right.
let's hear from
Let's play it.
All right.
Yep,
Listen
from
close,
Charlie
folks.
Munger
Everyone get in on us.
at
Get your
the
notes.
BBC
Pen-
2012.
pen and paper.
We have to deal in things that we're capable of understanding. And then, once we're over that filter, we have to have a business with some intrinsic characteristics that give it a durable competitive advantage. And then, of course, we would vastly prefer a management of a place with a lot of integrity and talent. And finally, no matter how wonderful it is, it's not worth an infinite price. So we have to have a price that makes sense and gives a margin of safety considering the natural vicissitudes of life. That's a very simple set of ideas. And the reason that our ideas have not spread faster is they're too simple.
This is Charlie
The
Munger.
professional classes can't justify their existence if that's all they have to say. I mean, it's all
So that's it.
yeah, that's kind of
Yeah, they're
So
they're
he
so
goes
right.
up-
That was it. And it, if you didn't catch it, it's capable of understanding. So things that you, if you buy, like, look a lot or understand glass companies or contact companies. If you, like, I need to look into Razor because I love Razor. I have a bunch of Razor products. if you're a runner, shoes, clothes, those companies that you like, the main point is just understanding how the company functions and why. And I know that you might be like, oh, how am I supposed to do that? But the truth is, it's like you do. You know how Netflix works. You watch it all the time. You know how to pay. You know that it's a monthly subscription. You know that pretty much everyone has it. You know that they're making it more difficult for people to share their passwords. So like everyone has to get their own. We know. You just have to kind of allow your brain to say that I know. Don't allow your emotions to come up and block you and say, I don't know how a company works. You do. And you just have to put down those walls, put down those emotional barriers and say, okay, what do I know? What companies do I love? Am I a Coca-Cola person? Am I a Pepsi person? Am I who are you? What do you enjoy? The next one was business with intrinsic characteristics and advantages. Those are called moats, if anyone doesn't know. And then management with integrity and talent, because if a company, just because it has a good moat, if they have a bad management, then that, however long that person's in charge, it could go down, 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 which is great for buying it. But if they don't kick them out and get someone in new, they could completely destroy a company, which I think we've seen that before. And then price given and margins of safety, and they're going to explain how to kind of do that.
Those 4 principles very quickly.
Yeah.
Almost like so quick you miss it.
Yeah. So let's cover
can
them
we
real quick.
delve into? Oh, you want to talk about all 4?
Well, let's just tap on each one, make sure
Okay.
everybody's got the basic
Okay.
4.
Yeah, they will.
So Charlie's
I
saying
can make
first
sure.
you got to have a business you understand, and once it passes that filter, in other words, you don't go to the next 3 stages.
Right.
First, you have to understand.
So
it.
they're in a specific order.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Okay.
have to
There-
understand
well,
it first.
The first one is critical.
Mm-hmm.
Has to be first, which is you
Yeah.
understand the business.
Yeah, because if you don't,
And
then
the next piece is critical, which is it has to have some sort of business characteristics, intrinsic characteristics to the business that make it durable,
moats.
durably competitive.
Look into moats, folks.
Then we'd like to have good management. So number 1 is understand it. Number 2 is give it a moat. It's got to be a durable competitive
Look
advantage.
at
we
that,
call
call
moat.
it out.
Third is we want good guys running it
We do want good guys
if we
running it.
can. So that one's not absolutely required, but we'd like
And
it.
an example of that actually is someone that she gave us in the book was Sheryl Sandberg. She is clearly a good management. If you see Sheryl Sandberg take over something, look what she did for Meta. They literally give her credit for making it profitable. So if you see a company you really like and then you're like, oh, management is Sheryl Sandberg? Oh, fuck yeah, I'm going to fucking look into this more, because you like the company, you know it, you understand it, you know, you've seen that they have a moat, and you know that they're management. So now you just got to find the price. Now you just got to wait for that good price to happen, and it will happen.
And Warren Buffett once said that we really look at the intrinsic characteristics of the business, because we want a business that's so simple an idiot could run it, because someday an idiot might.
That's so true.
So, fair enough. And then, of course, the last one is a margin of safety. You want to buy it at a cheap price. So those are the main 4.
Okay.
All right.
So the first one, you just recapped as understanding the business, but what he actually said is that you have to be capable of understanding the business.
Good catch.
Are those things different?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so,
One
yeah.
precedes the other.
Sure.
So you can't understand it without being capable of understanding it.
But do you have to actually then?
I think it's interesting that she brought that up, because I think before they go off, I did speed it up a bit because I realized it's a 41-minute thing, so we're going to try and run through it a little bit faster. Being capable of understanding it, I think what they're saying is do you know how to research? Do you know how to Google? Do you know how to look into a company? And that could take some time. Maybe if you're young enough, you don't really. But if you've gone through high school, if you've done maybe even a year of college, I think most of us then are capable of researching and understanding a company. Okay? So, I know whatever they're going to say some more, but simplistically, as long as you understand that you're going to have to look more into the company. It's not just I love Coca-Cola, I'm going to buy Coca-Cola because I know for a fact that no. You need to actually figure out the history, learn a little bit more. How did they get to where they are now? Are they continuing that? I just last night saw an ad for Pepsi. They're fucking doing amazing. They just took the Coca-Cola bears and they gave them a Pepsi can. It was like Pepsi and Cola, and they had the bear like wrapped so he can't see, and he drank both and was like, "Ooh, I like this one more," and then it ended up being Pepsi. And then he had to go to therapy, and then he's all sad and not sure what's happening, and confused, and then like another Coca-Cola bear comes up and gives him a Pepsi, and they're like happy. And then they even brought in like a real situation that happened in the world where the CEO guy got caught cheating on his wife at a concert, and they had them like drinking and hugging, like the real life thing happened. And then they were like, "Oh, we like it, we're not even shy, we're not even gonna run away, we like Pepsi." It was so good. It made me laugh. We only drink Coca-Cola products in this house, and it made me fucking laugh. I probably might now have a Pepsi product pretty soon after, because it just like, it gets in your brain, you're thinking about it, you're like, did I like Pepsi? Maybe I'll buy one just to see if I remember if I like it more. Like, I know for a fact I do not like Pepsi. My parents raised me on Pepsi. I thought I liked Pepsi. It was only after I drank other products that I realized I did not enjoy the taste as much. So I know for a fact, but there are other Pepsi products, so these are things that it's a part of it all. It's a part of it all. These are things you got to pay attention to.
And understand it. I would expect you would.
Yeah. It's not just that you have to be capable of it. You also have to actually do it, and that opens up a whole can of worms.
Yeah.
You want to get into that?
Yeah.
All right.
So let's say it's like some, knowing nothing about any companies on the stock market. Let's say I find some, copper company out there. I know nothing about copper.
That is such a great thing right now, because gold and silver are just like, because China just bought the rights to all not bought the rights, they just took the rights for all of the special metals and stuff like that. They have full control over it now, so they are the ones that are going to control it. So this is very interesting that she brings up copper.
I'm capable of understanding the copper business. I mean, I'm relatively intelligent. I could read some stuff about it. How do I know if it's even worth my time? I mean, honestly, that's what I think about. My time is super valuable. How...
Are you working with copper in some capacity in your life? I think that's what he might say right now is are you a ring maker? Do you make jewelry? Are you working with copper often? Because those people are going to understand it. They're going to know how resourcing works. They're going to understand pricing. They're going to know different forms of copper, what it's like to have copper mixed with stuff. So I'm just saying, I think it just depends on what's happening in your daily life.
Before I even commit to looking into an industry or looking into a company, how do I know if I should do that?
Well, that's a really good question, Danielle. I'm thinking that the way I go
Let's write that down. We're going to actually take notes, folks. So we're going to write down, how do I know what companies are good for me to look into? Right? Let's hear his answer.
Is that I'm not going to be looking at copper companies unless they've already jumped over a couple of hurdles that Charlie didn't mention.
Oh, there's more.
Ooh,
Just
okay. Now we're going to say, we're gonna write down these hurdles. So make a little mark under the question. You can say hurdles, whatever you need. Just get ready to write them down, because I've sped it up.
Oh, the secret 15 minutes a day just became a couple of hours.
Well, and just now that we've got this thing all set up, so
She's making a joke here. He's like, it's only 15 minutes a day. But the point is like starting any habit, right? If you're going to want to start running, you don't start out running a marathon. First off, that's going to be if you start, you're never going to finish it. So it's just go run 5 minutes, go run 10 minutes, go run 15 minutes. And then next week, run a little bit more and a little more. And you build on it. You make space for it. You make it an integral part of your lifestyle.
First, you have to understand it, and the last thing you look at is the margin of safety. I'm going to flip it on its head.
Okay, fair enough.
And I'm going to say that I'm not going to bother digging into this hypothetical copper company unless I think it's already on sale. there's a good likelihood that it's on sale. And if I don't know anything about these companies, why would I think it's on sale?
Right.
And the reason I might think it's on sale is one of two really huge things. The first one is that, it's on the front page of the paper that copper is
like
sucking.
gold and silver right now.
Okay, but
right?
copper's terrible, or oil, or retail stores, or but it's front page
Or
news.
BlackBerry.
Or BlackBerry is horrible. So
I
it's
love
front page news. We call that an
bringing
event.
up BlackBerry.
Okay, so there's an event, and that event is scary
How you know this is from the early 2000s? Talking about BlackBerry.
from an investor's point of view because it's sending this industry tumbling down this cliff in terms of the prices of these companies. So if I'm reading the news, that may be what has sent me over to look at copper.
So it sounds like you're not starting from what seems like an infinite world of possibilities, aka the thousands of companies that are on the stock
And
market.
just throwing a dart.
Right, because that's how it feels.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
starting out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess it would kind of, right?
Completely.
All right, so let's say that we don't have anything on the front page of the paper today.
And that's why I was saying earlier, like instead of throwing a dart out, zoom in on like what it is that's in your daily life, shorten it up. He's saying like maybe you've seen it online. Honestly, don't trust that shit. Truthfully, what I've learned from like the news and stuff is if you're seeing it up there already, it's too late. If you're seeing it up there, it's too late. Because what's happening up there is they're trying to convince you to jump in so that the rich people, the people already in, can make some money. Just saying. I know he's saying you can look into them, but he also said maybe I'm thinking it's on sale, but how would I know it's on sale if I know nothing about it? So it's okay that if you're curious about it, if you're like, maybe that'd be a good, if you have that, maybe that's an interesting, that is what he's saying. Not, I know it's on sale because it's on the TV. No. It's just that curiosity pops, that question comes in, you see it on the TV, you're like, oh, is it on sale? And then you go look.
There's no copper up there. Why would I have started with copper? Okay, the other possibility is that I've watched a couple of key investors, a handful of key investors,
Okay.
and I see that one of them, who I really admire, let's say it's Charlie Munger,
Okay.
is buying.
Here's the thing. I think he's bringing up something that people might not know about right now. He's saying, I'm watching key investors and they're buying. These people aren't just straight up every day, like coming on and being like, oh, today I bought blah, 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 blah. No, you have to go look every quarter. I think it's called a 10K. They drop what they like when they hit a certain amount of money or they're trading so much or making so much, especially places like Berkshire Hathaway. Every quarter they have to show what they traded the last few months. They have to. They have to show what they sold and what they bought. That is what he's talking about right now.
A copper company like Freeport-McMoRan. So he is just climbing all into Freeport-McMoRan. And the price,
Is that happening right now?
actually, Freeport's probably on sale big time.
Oh, I completely picked copper out of the air.
Yeah.
I know nothing.
Oh, no, they're having all kinds of problems in Indonesia, and you got gold going through the toilet, and you got copper down because China's not building out its infrastructure. You actually just hit on an area that...
How crazy is that? Like, they're talking about this, and they're like, oh, yeah, it's real low right now. And then he's, like, talking about China building infrastructure and shit like that. And then now China has control over it, and now it's, like, way up here because we're having to, like, convince them. We're like, please. They're like, no, we want more for it. So, very interesting where we're at. Like, this is where it, like, it was at the bottom. Now we've seen it come up. This is just because you're hearing it right now. Just because it's on TV right now, just because you're like, what about gold, copper, and silver? Like, that's great. Go look into it. But guess what? Right now is probably not the best time to be buying.
might be a place to look.
Okay.
Because there's an event going on, and because some really good investors might be moving into these specific companies. So this is a trigger point. One of these two things: either there's an event and I start looking on my own, or I notice.
Okay, so he summarized it. An event happens, you recognize it, and you start looking at it. So we're gonna write that down. In case you didn't get it, I wrote down an event happens, you recognize a company could be on sale, and you look into it.
There's a great investor is starting to hit it.
So it sounds like before there's kind of a preceptor to the four principles, which is read the news.
Oh man,
Is that
is
too
there
simple?
ever? No, that may be a little too simple, but it's not too.
I'm so glad he said that. It's so crazy. I've learned so much. I'm so proud of myself. I think when I would have listened to this first, I'd been like, oh yeah, watch the news. Like, I've come so far where I'm like, ooh, not just watch the news. Don't just watch the news.
Simple. It's really important to know that good investing,
Mm-hmm.
the way we do it, requires you read.
Yeah,
You got to read.
you have to read.
And since it's easier to read than it is to dig ditches for a second job, then, this is something most investors are willing to do.
That almost sounds to me like it sounds like practice. It sounds like
It's
like in
practice.
yoga, you practice your yoga. You don't just go do your yoga. Like every day is a practice
Yes.
that you're just sort of playing at it a little bit. And that
Yes.
kind of sounds like the same thing to me. I don't know if I'm too far off on this one, but to me, like when I think about, okay, every day I have to keep up on what's happening in the world of business,
Yes.
And in the world generally.
Yes.
It just sounds like
And I think the best thing you can do is have a variety. Not just like what you think is right, but you need to see like what is every side saying? What is the left side saying? What is the right side saying? What is the middle side saying? What are people who are trying to say it without having a side saying? You need to find the people you trust. Like I love Philip DeFranco. I just found this new lady on YouTube. She's not an anarchist. She's something else. But like, you gotta find these people. You gotta find these people. I don't like main news outlets. I feel like they're mostly there just to scaremonger. So, find your outlets.
a habit to get into.
Yeah,
and
I
kind
think
of
it
treating
is.
it like a practice.
I think it is. I think
Just like she's talking about yoga, like there's so many yogis on YouTube. Half of them are white. Yoga is a Hindu practice in India. It's Sanskrit. Like, I first learned yoga from a professional yogi who went to India and got trained by a yogi there, got certified in India, and then came back to the US and was doing it here. That's who I first learned yoga from. So you need to find your yogi in investing. Okay?
there's some things that I read every day. I read the New York Times every day. I'm not the whole thing, right? Just specific pieces of it.
Mm.
I read the Wall Street Journal every day. I read Barron's as it comes out.
Specific pieces is really good. What are the companies that you're focusing on? What are the industries you're focusing on? Yeah, there's so much information out there, folks. You can't just be reading everything.
Forbes, Fortune, and I don't know anybody that's good at this that doesn't do that. It just kind of keeps you at the forefront of kind of what's going on a little bit. But
Yeah.
let me really make this point that the kind of investing we do doesn't
Mhm.
just happen in a day or so.
Right.
Yeah,
Like the
that's
copper
true.
problem's been going on for like months and months and months.
Mhm.
You don't have to be like, the day trader level of involvement here. You just kind of got to stay up on things and kind of know what's
Which
going
is-
on in the world a little
Which
bit.
is why he says 15 minutes a day. You don't have to do it like a day trader. It's just you need to keep up a little bit,
But we don't judge these investments by, kind of what's going on in the world literally. Like it's just that I
Kind of we do, though, because China bought up all the special metal stuff. Right now the war is affecting oil. There's literally places like Cuba that aren't receiving any oil, and places like China and Mexico that are trying to help them. People who are leaving here that are taking funds and bringing it there. So a little bit, yes, but not all of it, right? For example, unfortunately, things like the war with Russia and Ukraine and Gaza and like that hasn't really affected us financially or affected our economy that much. And I say unfortunately because I think it's extremely fucking sad that we're just letting that shit happen, and honestly our government's kind of funding it. So I think it should. And people have tried. We've tried. There's groups have tried to like get people to stop buying certain things. Unfortunately, people like going to Starbucks. Unfortunately, people aren't going to stop going to Starbucks. Unfortunately, Starbucks has a decent fucking moat and is indoctrinated in people's minds. People, it's going to be around. Yeah, maybe we negatively affected some of their sales for a little bit, but as far as I know, they're doing fine. So
need to know that thing is a possibility where it could be on sale. And that's enough for me to start delving into it.
a possibility
it's
of
an
being on
area
sale.
that's within what I would call my canyon.
Mm-hmm.
You need to know the macro view of what's happening.
Yeah, I would say investors like Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett, Mohnish Pabrai, these guys are pretty well informed.
Okay.
Right.
What newspapers do you read every day? If you don't mind the Sarah Palin question.
Okay,
What
well,
newspapers do you read
yeah.
every day?
Okay, so it's New York Times,
New
Wall Street
York
Journal.
Times.
Those things are just part of my routine.
Don't like them.
And I like the Financial Times, but I don't read it every day. But that gives me a little bit broader.
I do feel
Yeah. I read The Guardian and the BBC.
I listen to Philip DeFranco. And then I have a few people, like small, like Basan from Gaza. I pay attention to what she's saying from Gaza. And then there is somebody from Congo that I pay attention to, and I know that they're keeping up with stuff there all the time. So I think they're saying read. I agree with reading. Do books, look into companies, read what's happening in them right now, what they're posting out, what people are saying about them. But I'm not one to trust the news like this anymore, because it's not news. Even compared then, it's way less news now, you know. It's much more fear-mongering.
See a lot. 'Cause I find they're much more internationally focused.
Yeah, those are both very good.
Yeah.
Then weekly, Barron's, which is wonderful for investors and part of the Wall Street Journal
Barron's.
family. What makes the Wall Street Journal and Barron's different is the Wall Street Journal is very newsy. They get a lot of news about a lot of things, right? Barron's is all about investing. So it's looking for opportunities
I
here.
think that's a good one to write down. Okay, let's write down. We're just going to make a note here. Find daily. Whoops, forgot the A. Daily news outlets to keep up with ongoing financial info. And then we're just going to write, he said the Barron's. I'm going to say it's a financial news. And I'm going to look into that to see if it's worth.
From the point of view of my kind of investing, which is, I want it on sale. So Barron's is presenting opportunities out there from writers that they have on staff. And those can just kind of trigger an interest, and I can start diving in. So the article might have been, hey, copper's going on sale. Go take a look at these 5 companies.
So New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Barron's Weekly, Financial Times, every now and then.
And well, I read it
Pretty regularly.
every other day or so.
Okay.
And then The Economist,
Sure.
when that comes out, which again, international view.
The Economist. I'm going to write that one down too. He said it's international.
And then the websites.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's some great websites.
Okay.
Some Zero.
Some
really good
Zero.
at looking at what other hedge fund managers like me are saying about their portfolios. I look at Guru Focus to see what kinds of companies are being bought by guys
Google
that I really
Focus,
like.
huh?
I look at Motley Fool sometimes because I'll see an article on a company that's at Motley Fool, and I really use Seeking Alpha a lot.
Motley Fool. Ooh, yeah.
And these
That's
things have become at least as important.
honestly, I need to get into checking my Seeking Alpha much more. I just got it, but it's still a good one, guys. There's a free one there.
Important, or if not more important than the news, because this and I use our own website, Rule 1 Investing, which really kind of compiles a lot of data that's out there into a format that says, this has a big moat, this company, it's well run, here's what the margin of safety looks like. So we definitely take that point of view into our website and just kind of spit that data out. It saves a lot of time digging around.
But I take your point that it's helpful to read a lot of different sources, because you're ultimately having to make your own decision about what to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a reading kind of a thing, it really is.
Yeah, you need multiple
And it's
sources.
just kind of that habit of being in regularly
Yeah.
to even get to the point where and that's what makes you capable to understand these various
That
companies, right?
That's what makes you
have to have
capable. Yes,
you get a
do
bigger
the
picture.
research.
Yeah.
And then when you start digging into the companies, you start some very specific reading. So the analysis on Seeking Alpha on that specific company, the 10Ks, which are the annual reports that company puts out.
You brought up the 10Ks. Those are the annual reports, so those are not the quarterly reports. I'm just going to write that down so I don't forget. I'll do it over here. 10Ks annual reports.
And spell out all of the risks and all of the way the company works and what its competitors look like and all that.
And those are available on the SEC's Edgar website.
They are, but good luck
can just
digging in
Google
there.
Oh, it's so easy. I use it all the time.
I was going to say, now you don't really have to do that. Now you can just go to some AI thing and ask them to pull up the 10K, and you can click on the link and take you right to the 10K. Or you can Google search it and it will bring you straight to there. So you don't really have to look through things anymore, but you could if you want to learn how to.
It works.
Oh my gosh, this is why you're so much more adept
No,
at
not
this.
at all. Google SEC Edgar. It comes up. You type in the
See,
code
she's
for the
even
company
using
and
it. He was
Oh.
it all comes up, and you can
So
see, look at this. Even at the beginning of 2000s, like, she was like, what are you talking about so hard he's thinking like, oh, you have to like dig through each page, you have to go through each one, and you just keep looking for it, it's so much work. And she's like, you just Google 10K and it pops right up, you click the link.
Filter it. You can write the symbol, and you can filter it for each kind of report. It's pretty
Yeah.
easy.
I've never been able to figure it out.
No.
Is it really that simple?
Yeah.
It is.
I don't know why I get so confused over there.
I don't know.
That's why I put all those links to the SEC on my website. So I
Oh,
can find it.
I'm just gonna start using your website.
So you go over and you go click SEC,
That's so funny.
and up comes everything.
Okay.
That's
that you got.
hilarious.
So that's the annual
Love that.
report. And then the 10 Qs are the quarterly report.
10 Qs.
And those I don't read so much. I
That's
read them,
there.
but what I'm really looking for on a quarterly basis is the transcription
Yeah.
of the CEO's discussion about the quarter with all of the analysts from guys like Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, all these really super smart
Yeah.
people trying to build their reputation and become.
But that's what he was talking about, like, when he's like, oh, go check out, like, Charlie Munger, what has he done, right? Charlie Munger's dead, but you know what I mean. He's like, oh, go check out to see what he's done. It would be in the 10 Qs.
Fund managers and all that. And this is the stepping stone. So they are very good at asking questions I might not have thought of. And that's all in the transcripts, which you can get right off of Seeking Alpha.
That's cool.
Well, yeah, those are cool.
Yeah.
So the reading's really pretty key. In fact,
Yeah.
most of the guys I know that do this professionally have a kind of reading room. Like Melissa set my office up, so I've got a
Yeah.
place there to read.
I
It's
set
really
mine up
comfortable.
out there.
When the door's closed, I'm not going to be just.
I can't do it in my bedroom. I think that's a thing. I don't know if they'll bring up, but emotionally, I can't sit here in the bedroom and do it. I get sidetracked. The TV's here, my phone's right here. But if I set out like a little desk area out there, my partner's out there in a meeting. That's why he's out there. But I set my little desk up out there because when I sit down at my little desk, I have my computer, I have everything, and I can get into it. TV's not bothering me. I'm not thinking about needing to clean or da-da-da. I just do it. So make your space, even if it's like just a corner in your room or a little spot on the floor. Make it, keep it, maintain it. Okay?
Disturbed. The phones are off.
It's work time.
Yeah.
Work
It's work
time.
Monesh Prabhai cracks me up because he basically talks about, his work effort is sort of laziness bordering on sloth. He said, I can't believe this is a job. Monesh?
Who is that?
Oh, he
Yeah,
runs
he's-
a lot of money, like almost $1 billion, and
Yeah,
he's a
he's-
brilliant investor in the Rule 1 style, right?
His family started the hotels here in the U.S. They did it in other countries and stuff, but then they came here and made it super famous for grabbing dying hotels and making them super successful.
Trying to buy $10 bills for $5, that's what we do. And mostly it's just reading, and you just are patient. And Monesh gets up, he says, I get up at about 10 o'clock. Now, check this out. This is for a guy who
Same.
lives in Newport Beach, California, Irvine, California, which is 3 hours behind the East Coast, which means when he gets up at 10 o'clock,
West Coast.
over half a day of Wall Street is over.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
1 o'clock
That's so true.
on Wall Street.
So he really doesn't care what happens day to day then. He's
Not
fine
at
with
all.
checking it out after the market closes.
Yeah,
or
but-
else you would never have that
And
schedule.
I don't think he even checks it.
Uh-huh.
I think he gets up, lazes around the house, irritates his wife, who he
Kind
says,
of mean to him.
no, I mean, he says this. He said this. Here, I didn't get this directly. I got this out
You're
of
not
his
making
book.
this up?
No, it's in his great book, which is called
You're not
Dondo.
defaming him right now. All right.
Go read his book. It's awesome. But he said basically he irritates his wife from being home all the time. She says, why don't you go get a real job? And get from under my feet. And then he goes and plays some golf.
Sure.
You know,
he's one of the
it's
best
funny,
guys in the
I thought the only book that he had out was the Dundo, and I'm pretty sure the Dundo. Wait, let's double check real quick. I just want to make sure. The Dundo Investor is a good one, though. Oh, he does have another one. Mosaic Perspectives on Investing. Okay, so I'm going to write this one down because I want to read all their books. So this one is called Mosaic Perspectives on Investing. And again, I'm just going to circle it. Make sure I write book so that I know that this is a book I'm going to read. And if you guys didn't already hear me say it, the Dundo, real quick. The Dundo Investor, the Low Risk Value Method. That's a great book. I think he's referencing this comment from this other book, though, because I don't remember reading that.
I mean, his rate of return before he takes his 25% split.
Oh, yeah. to it.
He's knocking out about 34% for the last 12 years,
So that's totally insane.
which is awesome, right?
Yeah.
And what he does is he reads a lot and he thinks, right? And the beauty of kind of what we're doing is we're realizing that we can copy Monesh.
Yeah, we
After
can't
he does all this
copy.
reading and all this thinking, if he's going into copper, I'm going to know about it.
Fair.
Yeah, okay, so like that's a good place to get ideas of companies
Right.
to look at.
Right.
I don't really want to just copy somebody just because they've done really well historically.
Mm.
That
Well,
makes me
it'd be-
feel kind of nervous.
Well, it'd be the
People
right
screw
guy to
up.
start with.
That's very interesting. That's an emotion that I do not have. So that's a good thing for her to bring up, is her being like, I don't want to copy someone just because they did well. Like, but that's exactly what we want to do. Like, that's exactly what investing is. That's, that is why he says, we looked at, what was his name? Benjamin Graham. He's the father of value investing. That's why we look at Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett, because they have been the leaders of Berkshire who have successfully made the most money out of it. That's why we read and learn and watch these gurus, is because we do want to copy. We want to recreate what they're doing now. So it's very interesting that she has that feeling, because I don't have that feeling around it. I'm excited when I start learning about these people, because I realize it's giving me an opportunity. They did it, why can't I? They did it, what are they doing that I can do? They did it, how did they start? I want to start. Right? That's what my brain thinks, and maybe that's like more autistic, but if you're having these feelings of like, oh, I don't want to copy people, we're copying, mama. We are copying. We are copying, papicito. Okay? Copy paste. Copy paste. Copy paste. Not exactly, but that is what we want. We want to find the people who have been successful, and we want to do things the way that they've been doing it. Maybe adjust it a little bit for the times, of course, but still, nonetheless, that's what we want.
But you're right. You wouldn't want to just copy them. Let me tell you why.
Not just right.
Monesh is not.
And again, we're not copy pasting in the sense of like, oh, well, in 1999 he bought this, so I'm gonna buy it. No. But we do want to recreate their success.
going to call you up and say, I am now getting out.
Right.
And you're not going to find out
Yeah.
that he got out for
Until-
as much as 90 days.
Yeah.
Long after whatever
Because
disaster.
every 90 days he has to file quarterly reports with the SEC,
Right.
so then we'll
Exactly.
know.
So there could be some disaster on the horizon that he sees because he understands the business and is, right?
Right.
But you don't see it because you just copied him.
Right.
And so he's out. 3 months later, you find out about it. But by then,
And I think this is a good point that he's making. You don't want to just follow someone and copy paste. You want to learn the way they did it, how they did it. That's what we're copying. We're not copying exactly what they're doing now. We want to copy how they figured out to do what they're doing. We want to copy the activity. We want to copy the habits. We want to copy the research.
then it's too late. So that's a bad thing. You don't want to be investing in things because a guy invested in them that you really like.
Mhm.
What you have to do is use it as an incredible opportunity, like as if he called you up and said, hey, Danielle, 3 months ago, I bought this carpet company and I paid $100 a share. And you might notice it's selling for $90 a share right now. And, I'm just saying, that would be awesome. Yeah,
It
so
would be helpful.
it would be very helpful. But it doesn't mean you should go buy it.
Right.
Right.
That's kind of, I don't want to just copy somebody.
Picture this: a curve in the road, a change in plans.
Understand what's happening in the world and make your own decisions about what to do. Don't just
Yeah.
copy somebody who has done well historically.
I like
right?
to see notion that it's a practice.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an important, it's different than work, a practice. I don't like to work, and neither do you, and neither does anybody, right? We
Right.
all want to do something we
Nonetheless,
enjoy.
it's
Work is work.
Work is
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
It has a slightly negative connotation
Yeah.
of something maybe you don't totally love.
Yeah, but work is work. Like you have to do it. You have to do the research. You have to look into it. You have to learn. If work is work. Sucks to suck.
And
Whereas a
whereas if
practice
you're
is
practicing
kind of-
something, like doctors have a practice, lawyers have a practice
yeah,
because
yeah.
you're constantly getting better at it, and you're constantly doing it so that you can get better at it. It's,
I really
it's
like that.
continuous. It becomes a habit almost.
I'm going to have a practice from now on. I
Yeah.
like it a lot. My hedge fund will be a practice, and the separately managed accounts will be a practice.
But I think it is, and and some days are better than others.
Yeah.
Some days you feel accomplished, some days you don't.
Right.
And that's all part of it. It's all part of learning as you go along.
And I think that's a really good definition for, because it kind of puts us in the right mindset for this very important first leg of investing, of this sort of four-legged table.
Yeah, right, sure.
And you've got to have this practice going on an ongoing, for the rest of your life, practice.
When you start out with this first one, when you're thinking about whether or not it's a company that you're capable of understanding, are you wrong ever?
Oh, mostly. Yeah, I
All
hate
the
to break the
time.
news,
So-
but your
All the
daddy is
time.
mostly incapable of understanding.
Somehow that was
Yeah.
not news to me, but I enjoyed hearing you say it. So the question is then, how much time do you spend on an industry or a company before you realize,
That you
this isn't
can't
going anywhere,
understand
I'm
it.
dropping out of it?
As little as possible is the right answer.
Yeah.
And what it turns out to be in
Easily
practice,
said.
easily said. In practice, it's a stage. You go through a series of stages. So,
Okay.
oh man, Charlie Munger's buying this copper company. Okay, don't know anything
Okay.
about copper. So now I'm going to go and read an analysis about it, or I'm going to go
Right.
read the 10K. That's usually a good starting point.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
going to read
Start
the
at
10K.
10K.
Reading
Mhm.
the 10K is pretty fast. I mean, it's not a novel,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah,
30
it's not.
pages or something.
It's
And-
dense, though, to be fair.
Yeah.
They're
It is dense.
Yeah,
It
but
is dense.
think about it like
yeah.
this.
But
It's so dense.
at the end of the 10K, they typically have like a little like splurb about like what's going on and like their goals and stuff like that. And if you know that there's good management, you know you can trust it. So you can kind of go to the end of that, and if it looks good, then start going through the 30 pages. So
First reading.
Maybe that's a sign
It's
I'm
just-
not capable of
I'm done.
understanding.
I'm done. Right there.
it's not that. Just because it seems like a lot doesn't mean you're not capable. It just means that it feels overwhelming. I think that's like another thing is like she's talking to her dad who, you know, he doesn't have these feelings when he's like, when he looks at it, he's like, okay, let me get through this. She looks at it, she's like, 30 pages. I got to read that. I don't know if I'm going to understand that. Like, deep breaths, somatic breathing. Okay. It's going to be rough, but that's why I said scroll to the bottom, see if they have like a little note to investors. If it looks good, if you trust that management, then read the rest.
Okay, so
All right.
if somebody comes out and says, "Oh, here's this microchip company," you know, 2 pages in, I'm lost.
That's so crazy that he's bringing this up. Again, this is early 2000s. He's talking about a microchip company. What just happened over the last 5 years? NVIDIA, folks. Come on. Damn, it's so crazy. This is why, and see, this is the thing. This is why I think it's funny that she's like, oh, don't copy. But I'm like, yes, copy, because, like, these are the he's the person who's like, he understands this stuff. He's talking about it way before like they started taking off and being profitable and like being something that people needed to be in like a few years ago before it like jumped up, right? He was already looking into it, already thinking about it years ago. And you're like, oh gosh, okay. So what is he talking about now? You know, this is the thing. Go look to see what he's talking about now. What companies is he looking at now? What is he sharing right now that he's looking into? And start learning about those companies, because if you can get into them in the next few years, those most likely are going to be the companies that will be taking off. And he has the reputation to show that like the ones he's paying attention to do that. That's why I think a little bit of copying, as long as you're not copying the actual like buying and selling, you're just copying the habits, you're copying the research ways, you're copying what you're learning about. I think you should be able to do it.
Lost 'cause I don't.
Oh, wait. Oh no. Oh, hold on. It says error in episode. So let me just refresh here.
Mostly.
There we go.
Yeah, I hate to break the news,
So-
but your daddy is mostly incapable of understanding.
Somehow that was
Yeah.
not news.
Okay, don't know anything about copper. So now I'm going to go and read an analysis about it, or I'm going to go read the 10K. That's usually a good starting point.
Okay.
I'm going to go read the 10K. Reading the 10K is pretty fast. I mean, it's not a novel, right? It's 30 pages or something.
It's
Yeah.
dense, though, to be fair.
Yeah.
They're dense.
Yeah, but think about it like this. If it's so dense on first reading,
Maybe that's a sign
It's
I'm
just-
not capable of
I'm done.
understanding.
I'm done. Right there. Okay, so
All right.
if somebody comes out and says, "Oh, here's this microchip company," you know, 2 pages in, I'm lost because I don't understand the terminology. I don't understand anything about it, and it doesn't feel like it's something I want to spend a lot of time with.
Right.
It's not a passion of mine. I'm not talented in it. I
So
don't
you're
spend
paying
money on it.
attention to your own level of interest.
Oh yeah,
That's
That's important.
important.
I'm paying attention to the things I'm passionate about in the world, the things I'm pretty good at,
Which is
the
what I
things would
talked
do as
about
a hobby,
earlier.
See,
the
that's
things
really
I do
interesting
to
to
make
me
money.
because I think there's not a lot of emphasis, maybe there's no emphasis on liking the companies that you invest in.
Oh, I think this is
That
really
so
important.
true.
So let me just kind of take this one step further. I want
a
to,
new
in a
thing.
kind of non-married way, like I don't want to be married to these companies because I might want to get out of there,
Mm-hmm.
but I want to love them. I
Yeah.
want to feel
You should
like
love your
this company
companies.
deserves to be in your world
Yep.
after I'm gone.
Yes.
I want to make part of my legacy
Yeah.
the supporting of companies, even in the most minor way, right? But my money's going in there into a company that I think is going to be great in the world in 20 years.
Right.
From the point of view of its products, from the point of view of the way the company functions in the world. You know, there's a lot of pieces we're going to talk about over time over the
That's
next
super
few times.
right. Yeah, we should even like devote a whole
Yeah,
podcast to
let's
that.
do that.
But I think what you're saying here is that passion about it helps you to understand it.
Oh my
It
gosh, it
does.
helps me connect to it
And have the energy
in
to,
fact, we
to
encourage people to
and
do
research in it.
what is called a 3 circles exercise, which you basically I've had you do this as a kid.
Is this the
Do you remember
diagram?
this?
Yes.
Like to find your way to your law career. I mean, I know you're rolling your eyes right now. I know, but I did make you do this, and I said, okay, list your passions, what you love to do, what you do for free if you were super rich, and you know you could do anything you wanted in your world, and then list all the things that you're actually really good at, which can be very different, right?
Sure.
Like I might love to be a quarterback because I'm played in high school or something. Doesn't mean that I'm talented at it enough to make it a career, right? So, but list your talents and then list where you spend and make your money.
Yep.
So, like right now,
And then when you make your
you're
money.
pretty passionate about a lot of different things. You're passionate about helping people get their companies started and doing it right. And you're really talented at it. You're one of the best attorneys in that field as a specialty, and you're making money in it. That's where you have your career.
Yep.
So, I mean, that would be so that kind of thing would be a place for you to kind of start looking at that kind of Venn diagram where what's the intersection there, and start looking for companies in that area. For me, when I first started out, it was about sort of guns and Harley Davidson motorcycles. Those were the things I was interested in. And that makes the research interesting because you already know something about it.
Okay.
Right.
So I feel like that implies that people will choose a lot of consumer-facing companies because we're all consumers,
Especially in
and
the
that's easy.
You
beginning.
could do a lot worse than choosing a lot of consumer-facing companies. In
Okay.
fact, I mean, I'm just thinking about Buffett's portfolio. Okay, Washington Post, so that's kind of
Because
consumer
it's the world
stuff,
we live
right?
in, right?
American Express, credit cards, the Omaha
wanna
Furniture
cuddle?
Company, a diamond company, like diamond rings, retail diamond company, Disney,
Right.
ABC, television.
Mm-hmm.
So
Those are all consumer-facing.
yeah. And you can keep kind of going down the list. List is long of companies that he's invested in that are consumer-related. Geico, insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can do much worse than focusing just on things you know
Yeah.
already.
It's so true.
Okay.
And if you don't know it,
So you can get ideas starting there,
won't be
starting
as
from what
easy.
investors who
yeah,
you
it's a
respect
starting point. That's another thing.
are already investing in.
Yeah, and let's say you
Find
had
your
a
passion amongst those.
right. Say you had a
Yeah.
list of say 20 good investors.
Yeah.
And you could see that they had 20 good investors. We're talking easily 200 stocks.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of
There's
stocks.
a lot
there.
of stocks.
And now you look at that list, and out of that list, there's going to be maybe 10 or 15 that they're
Yeah.
buying. That they're buying because these are good investors who
And
think they're
same
on
with you.
sale.
You don't want to do more
That
than 10
actually
or
are kind of in
15.
your wheelhouse in some kind of way.
Yeah.
That'd be a great place to start.
Let's write that
Yeah.
down. 10 to 15 stocks.
So you know you're capable of understanding them because you already know, or you probably use those products. You read their 10Ks, see if it still makes sense.
Yep. See if it, and that only takes a few minutes. And if you start to go into it and just go, I don't like it. And the more research you do and the more you learn how to do this kind of investing, this rule one investing,
Yep.
the better you get at quickly tossing out the 10Ks.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, that's
true.
the practice.
That's the
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah, so
practice.
pretty soon you're not reading all that much.
Pretty soon it becomes, some part of it becomes second nature.
Yeah.
And so you go along and you go, I've seen this before, and I'm interested. Or I've seen this before and I am interested.
Right.
All right, then you take it to the next level. You finish the 10K. If you're still interested, now you've put in half an hour.
Yeah.
In this thing. Okay, now what I do is I go take a look at what's the short seller's case. I want to hear the bad news.
Yeah.
Why are smart people bailing out of this
That's
thing?
so good.
Because if they
So
weren't, it
good.
wouldn't be on sale,
That's
and I
what I
probably wouldn't be
said.
interested in the first
Both
place. So
sides.
there's some bad news out there about this company. Let's find out what it is next, and see if I can understand
Wait,
what's
you're
going
blowing my mind here. This company that I found that I liked, that I'm passionate about, now is doing poorly in the market?
on. Exactly. It's sucking it, because otherwise it wouldn't be on my short list of things to dig into, because it would not be on sale.
But I love them already in my mind.
Well, the good news is that virtually all companies, no matter how good they are, go on sale from time to time. They all do. Ben Graham.
But that's towards the end of our list of four, right?
That's true. That's true.
Okay.
We're getting ahead of ourselves a little. Okay.
All right, well, I feel like I have a good sense of the capable to understand sort of maxim that we've gotten from Charlie.
This idea of understanding stuff, I'll give you the really key thing about it.
Mhm.
Lay it on me.
Knowing
What's the key thing?
Knowing what you don't understand.
That's the hardest thing in the world.
That is. Charlie said that's the edge. The
Yeah.
edge that they've
Write
got
that
that's giving them
down.
all the success. He said about game
Knowing-
one. Isn't IQ. He said this is not a game where a 160 IQ beats a 110 IQ. This is a game where knowing what you know and not stepping into the area that's past that, into that gray area where you sort of know, you kind of know, you think you can know, you might know. He says knowing clearly where the walls are, where the boundary is, what they call a circle of competence. He says it's knowing the edge of the circle and staying away from it.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Circle of
Because
competence.
out on that edge, that's
Stay
where
in
you make
it.
mistakes.
Yep. It's so
And
true.
every one of us, Charlie, Warren, me, Manesh, all these guys,
You,
we've all
me,
made
all
the
of
mistake
us.
of thinking we knew where that edge was.
Yep.
And being wrong.
Yeah.
And that's when you lose money.
That's when you lose money.
Yes.
I mean,
it
that's a
is.
terrifying prospect, not knowing where the edge is.
Right.
So,
How do you know?
How do you know?
How do you know?
I mean, I imagine this is something I wanted to talk to you about as well. Maybe we can talk about it more another time. But intuition and the role of intuition in investing. which is such a numbers game and information game, as we just discussed. And yet I think there is some role for a little bit of everything reads right on this company, but I just don't feel like I should invest in it.
Oh my gosh, you just nailed another really cool part of this whole thing.
That's a good one.
That is actually in this concept of understanding. And that is that you have to pay attention to the tension.
That's right. I think that's a good word for it.
Oh,
The
let's
tension, the
write that
gray
down.
area
Pay
is
attention to the
attention.
tension.
Yeah. You've got
And
to
you
pay
can
attention.
feel that
Okay.
tension a little bit probably when you're getting there.
Yeah.
Of, well, there's something just not quite right. I can't even describe it to anybody.
You want to know what I do?
What?
I create the opportunity for that tension to be there by stepping into a company that I've done a pretty good level of research on, maybe a week or so. Like it's
Okay.
gone through these stages of
Right.
reading,
You
and
feel
I've
like
really
it's a
kind of
good
gotten into it and
company?
really started digging
Feel
into
like
it. Now
it's
I'm
a
in the
wonderful
library reading
company?
books about this industry and things like that. When I start to feel like I've got a kind of a ballpark handle on why did Warren Buffett buy this company, or why did Charlie step into this copper company, right? And why are they feeling like this is a really good price, that this is on sale, that the value of the business is much higher than the current price? Then when I've got a feeling for that now, I'm going to buy some of it. I'm not done with my work. I'm
Right.
not clear that I'm really away from the walls of the canyon here.
But you're going to put a little skin in the game.
Exactly. I'm going to get skin in the game. And then that thing that goes on that lets you, that's your kind of intuition, that's churning all this information and tying it together with your whole experience of your life and the whole thing, all of that, which is sort of subconscious, that's just working away now. I've got my attention on this company in a really solid way.
That's good.
And I don't want to make a mistake. So now that tension rises. And what that tension is doing is telling me, dude, you do not know enough yet to be putting real money into this business. What the hell's wrong with you? Get in there and dig. Get to the library. Get into this. Stop paddling around and really read hard and focus on this thing.
Right.
Because here's the thing. Investing is endlessly distracting, right?
Yeah.
I could look at 8,000 different companies any given day. And there's always another one that looks like, oh, look at who's buying that one. And maybe that's on sale. And it's so easy to drag yourself right past finishing the research
Yes.
and move on to something else and leave yourself with that, I almost know, but I don't really. And we found, I found that if I make a serious investment in, that we go
very
in about
interesting.
10% of our portfolio on any one company. So it's like serious, right? You get
I think I really like that. What he's saying is like when you feel like you're almost done with the investing, is like put a reason for you to continue. Essentially, that's what he's saying. If you are like hitting that emotional wall, where you're like, I don't know, man, everything looks good, but I'm just not feeling it. Do it anyways, and force yourself to continue that like education, because once you've put something on the line, you're gonna lose money. Right? And if you don't, rule one, don't lose money. So guess what?
10% on any one company, and that thing starts to go down. I guarantee you'll find out in that minute whether you understand it or not.
Yeah.
Because if you do understand it, you
You're
will
not
not
gonna-
be afraid.
If I do understand it, I'll be ecstatic.
Yeah, because you're gonna be
I'll be
excited to buy
excited.
more. You're
I'm
like,
gonna
ooh,
get to
it's
buy more
cheaper.
of this thing.
Because you're are you ever 100%
Yes.
sure about companies?
Probably close, I'm guessing. Probably like
Wow.
98.
That is a.
Because-
I want to say yes so bad to that.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
If you said yes, I wouldn't believe you.
Because like the thing is like, for example, the war and everything. I know for a fact there's things that they just got out of, they just sold out of because it happened, and the thing is because it creates uncertainty around how the companies are going to behave, how the money's going to fluctuate, and we're talking about some other types of investing, and so it's not like long-term investing, but I think it can be portrayed to that. Like if you have a really good company and they're way overpriced and you're like, I'm seeing a drop coming, and you're like recognizing a war is going to happen, you're like, ooh, that's going to negatively affect it, you sell out because you know it's going to fall down, or you're seeing it start to fall down, you're like, it's going to go more. The thing is if you know, then you can buy it at a cheaper price and come back in. You don't even have to sell all of it. You can sell half your stock. Sell half of it. Get that high up price off of it. Keep the growth that you've gotten over that, but it's going to drop and come back up again. Who knows if it will go back up past that within the time that you will sell it again. The goal is to never sell it, but you might sell it again. So I think it's just important to pay, like that's a part of it, like the whole paying attention to the world. Like nothing's 100%. Even if you feel like you've done all the math, you know for sure, you're like, no, this is a good company, it will be good, it's been good, the math is saying it, everything's saying it, the world functions on its own. People have free will. Stuff changes.
I know, because I'm having trouble believing me. There's always that possibility you didn't know something.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That
Like
too.
the CEO is secretly
Missed it.
crazy and on meds and is about to put the whole thing into a giant spiral.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, who knows?
Who knows? I mean, there's always that possibility,
Yes.
right? But I'll tell you, we go awful deep in our digging,
Yeah.
and deep enough that I've put your college fund into these investments.
I know.
And you did get to go to a
Guess
good
what? I
college.
graduated from college.
Wow.
So my level of comfort with this
crazy.
company is really high.
But that's how
And-
comfortable you
and
should be
And I get very committed. But having said that,
emotionally.
we have never been 100% in one
Logically.
thing.
And does it come back to what you said earlier, which is that at some point you're going to want to sell this company, and if you're 100%, or maybe you're 100% sure, and then the story changes,
Yeah.
and that's why you
The
sell
story
it.
changes.
But I also think a little bit, maybe you're 99% sure, and you're always just looking and making sure you're staying on top of it, and just saying,
Yeah.
what's that 1% that might show up tomorrow?
Mm.
Is there a sense of
Mhm.
that?
You know, I'm just trying to think about this 100% thing. It's like this. I feel like I'm 100% sure that in 10 years this business will be worth more than it's worth today.
Mhm.
Now, am I 100% sure I got it at 50% off its intrinsic value, that I'm going to double my money every 3 years, that, this thing will be vastly more valuable in 10 years? No. I don't think I can ever sort of get to that level
Right.
of certainty, but
Right.
I get to the level of certainty where I'm certain I'm going to make money.
Right.
Now,
That's
is it
what
100%? I mean,
Certain
I'd like to
to
say
make
that, but
money.
I'm certain I'm going to wake up in the morning and go to work.
Right.
But it might not
It
happen.
might not happen.
Right. Yeah, we all live
So,
with that
yeah, it's
Right.
just,
uncertainty.
Right.
let's be real, that it exists like
There's
that.
always
And we get as
a
close
little
to
bit
that
of
as we
a-
can, and then
yes.
we make our judgment.
Yes, that's good. I love that.
Well,
That
I
was
think we
really
should
well said.
continue this on the next topic
I think
here.
we're going to have to,
Yeah.
we're
Go
going to
on
have to
the next
probably
podcast.
bring more
Yeah.
about understanding into this next idea, which is going to be that this company has intrinsic structure that makes it a durable company and allows it to compete against other companies and maintain its margins. It's successful whether there's inflation or deflation. This is where we got to go next time
Yeah.
and bring that understanding into that.
I think there's so much more to say about understanding because that's
Mhm.
the basis of the other three.
Well, let's start off
Yeah.
with that then next time. Let's dive into that a little more because I do want to talk about, we talked about what your passions are and all that. Next time, let's talk about what your values are
Values.
Oh.
because that's
Maybe number one
interesting.
here is a two-parter on the podcast.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to dive into values.
I'm gonna.
I really think that's
I'm gonna
hugely
say
critical.
part 2.
So guns and motorcycles are
I'm
important to
gonna just write
discuss.
values.
We got to get there
Until
somehow.
next
See how.
Until next time. This is fun.
See how it comes back.
All right.
That was
Thanks
great
for
though.
listening.
I really enjoyed that. That was really amazing. I'm glad. I feel really confident after listening to that I've learned quite a bit. I hope you guys have learned a little bit, and we'll see you next Wednesday. And until next time, bye. And for the YouTube, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell icon so that way you never miss one of these. You get to learn with me as we go along. And I'll see you guys very, very soon. Bye.